Welcome to Yoga for Men. My name is Zach, and today we're going to be looking at handstands briefly. So the first thing you want to know with handstands is that it's a lot of pressure on the wrists, so always properly warm your wrists up, whether that's a certain way you know how, or simply coming down to the mat, finding a nice tabletop, and feeling a little bit of that extension in the wrist. So as you bring the shoulder over the wrist, you're going to feel a little pressure. And as you come forward past that, you're going to feel a lot of pressure. This is kind of the zone where if you're not engaging your fingers, you could really injure your wrists. So keeping the shoulders back behind the wrist crease or just over it, let's take some gentle rocks. Spreading the fingers wide. Handstands is a lot of finger work, so really keep the fingers engaged. I like to use this stretch in my practice, and I also like to bring the fingers out wide, bringing the heels in, and just rocking side to side, feeling a little bit of that hyperextension. Good. Feeling a little bit of flexion as well in the wrist. You can flip the hand, bringing the fingers towards the left hand, feeling a slight rock, little weight on top of the hand, and then simply switching sides. Now, my wrists are pretty warm right now, but if yours are not, I definitely suggest continue stretching your wrists out. Maybe sit back on the heels, really interlace the fingers, and just shake out the hands a little bit. So as we start to work towards handstands, we really want to think about everything lining up. So as we get into our handstand, our shoulder's going to be over our wrist, our hips are going to be over our shoulders, and our heels are going to be above our hips. So it's all one line. So you can imagine it just like Tadasana, mountain posture. Stretching the arms overhead, you feel what a handstand should feel like. Now think about as you pull the low belly in, really pull through the pelvis, and you'll feel the pelvis lift, and you'll feel your gut kind of engage, right? This is kind of the feeling we're going for. All the breathing is going to be done in the chest. Taking the hands, you already feel that engagement. Now think about taking the arms up, holding all of that engagement in that gut region. Feel the extension in the wrist by taking the fingers back. Now let's feel what the engagement in the legs would feel like. Keeping that gut engagement, let's come up onto tippy toes. Really think about trying to keep that gut in, bringing the pelvis forward. We're kind of in this hollow body shape, you can see. Good. Now let's take this to the next level. So planting the hands, as we start, let's start in a nice toes together stance. We're kind of like in this toe balance. I want you to think about keeping the knees close to the chest. As we start practicing handstands, it's always a good idea to work on bailouts, to work on rollouts, to really get comfortable falling. We're not going to go over that today, but what we're going to go over is kind of the steps to keep the toes, to keep the ankles safe, not taking them all the way to the sky, not worrying about getting into that back, working on strengthening these gut muscles, work on getting that range of motion and that proper body positioning. So let's take the hands shoulder width apart, spread the fingers wide, really dig the fingers in, kind of like you're checking your avocados, right? Squeezing in, seeing what's going on. And as we kind of roll the shoulders up, think about already trying to pull the hips over the shoulders. Now, if we want to take a few hops, maybe you keep the feet and the heels squeezing in towards one another. You can see my chest is really on my knees. Try to keep this position as you bring the hips up. And this is where we start. So really put the time in to get this feeling down. You can take the gaze forward, you can take the gaze slightly down, but try not to tuck the head too much, or you're going to have a tendency to roll out. So as you start getting this shape, maybe you can get a hold. And so this is where we want to start. See how little distance I have? If we're up here, taking the legs way up, we have that tendency to slam the feet down. So really work on the strength, work on the control, and then maybe you can take one leg up and just work on one leg. Hop, pulling that knee in towards the chest. Very quietly landing on the feet, keeping all these little joints like the wrists and the ankles happy. All right, so as you get more comfortable with that one leg, maybe you can start working on bringing both legs together up. Maybe you work on pulling them in towards the chest and then stretching the legs long overhead. Feeling the stack of the heels over the hips over the shoulders over the wrist. All right. So that's a quick, brief journey that you can go on for handstands. There's a lot of work in there. I know it's something that a lot of people struggle with, so be patient and really be kind on those little joints. Thank you for joining us. Good luck.